partnership with HBCU Connect now for the last 4 years, have done several different engagements with HBCU Connect, including some information sessions. This is, I believe, our first virtual career fair. So we are just honored to be here in general, but then I also just individually am so honored to be able to be with all of you this afternoon. You have so many incredible companies, so many incredible people out there ready to meet you at the different career booths virtually. So I hope that during this time that you take the opportunity to really engage. So a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Sheria Richardson. I am a talent advisory manager for our early careers team, and I've been at Truist now for the last 7 years. I joined in this role as an early career campus recruiter. Spent Have spent the last 7 years here, and I'm based in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'll get into a little bit more about myself as we dive in, but would love to get started and share a little bit more with you. So um, let's go ahead and dive in. So every time, and Will can attest to this, every time that we start at Truist, we always anchor to our purpose. And the reason why that's important is that your purpose, personally as well as corporately, like just in corporations, it helps to ground you and to really help you to understand clarity on where you're going, where you're headed, and what your goals, ideas, dreams are, right? And so for us, our purpose at Truist, our driving force is to inspire and build better lives and communities. Now, we're a bank, we're a top 10 US commercial bank, but for us, it's about the communities that we serve. And each of those communities are filled with individual people. And our goal, our dream, our aspiration is that the lives of those people are better because we are in it, right? Whether that's through serving them with client resources, serving them as clients, or what have you. So we have a three-legged stool as we think about kind of how we support that mission. Again, for our clients, we're providing that secure, successful client experience through touch and through technology. But we want to build trust, right? That's the ultimate goal, right? Money is a big deal, right? And we want to make sure that the people who are entrusting us with their funds are doing so in a way that feels secure and successful for them. I'm going to hang over to the right, and then I'll kind of pause in the middle. So over to the right is our stakeholders. So when we think about stakeholders at Truist, it's bigger than just shareholders, it's bigger than just the street. That is a part of it, 100%. We are a for-profit organization. They are a part of that. But you know who's also a part of that is HBCU Connect. It's North Carolina A&T State University. It's North Carolina Central University. It's Florida A&M University. It's Thurgood Marshall College Fund. It's all of these organizations that really depend on Truist, right, as a partner. And so our duty and responsibility to our partners is to make sure that we're providing long-term value through safe, sound, and ethical practices. Now, I skipped over that middle portion because the middle portion is where I spend most of my day. It is to our teammates, creating an inclusive and energizing environment that empowers teammates to learn, to grow, and to have meaningful careers. At Truist, that isn't just a slogan that we share and then we like drop it off and, move on. We have things in practice at every stage of career, whether you're early career and we have early career program interventions, whether you are in middle career and you're looking to advance your skills through a future skills track, whether you're a senior leader and you're looking to take additional courses at our Truist Leadership Institute. Regardless, at every stage of the career journey, Truist is here to support you. Our values, and I won't call all of them out here, but our values are really what anchor us, our behaviors, right? This is how we show up, right? When people ask us about what is the culture like at Truist, this is what I point to, right? Because for us, And I'll anchor to one that resonates with me often, just happiness. For us, think about the type of organization that we are. For us, happiness isn't just about rose colored glasses, unicorns, rainbows, and butterflies. Like, it's not, because I mean, you could look at the economy, you could look at several things and see that there's going to be changing an environment and what have you. And our clients aren't looking to us for rose colored glasses, investment analysis. They're looking to us for the real and how they can keep their investments safe. So, happiness isn't about just keeping the rose colored glasses and everything is fine and dandy. What it is about is how do you go at that, right? So when you're in the face of a situation, when you're in the face of adversity, when you're in the face of a challenge, how do you face that? And through positive energy, it doesn't just change the people that are around you, but it changes you. It changes your perspective. It changes your mindset, which helps you to then and if you've ever taken the emerging leader certification, I know we have several partner schools that many of you all represent. If you've ever taken the emerging leader certification, they talk a lot about the brain, right? And how the brain operates. When we can get ourselves out of the fight or flight mode of like, oh my gosh, this is a really bad situation, and get ourselves into, okay, take a breath. Here's what's happening. Let me anchor in fact, and then we can move on, right? That's what positive energy changes lives is about. That's what happiness is about, right? It's about the ability to take yourself out of the moment and come at it at an angle that allows you to move forward with success. So let's play a game. Okay. I scroll TikTok often, and so it is one of my vices. So I'm going to ask you guys to put a finger down. So I'm going to put my hand up. I'm going to ask you all to put your hands up as well. So put a finger down if you've left an assignment until the last minute. Put a finger down if you signed up for 8 a.m. classes and then you instantly regretted it. Okay. Put a finger down if you've changed your major at least once. I changed mine like 3 times. Sorry. Put a finger down if you thought the only good occupations were doctor, lawyer, or engineer. So my parents told me. So everybody in my life told me. Okay, put a finger down if you were told that if you went to college and you got good grades, that you would graduate with a 6-figure job. I see some hands going down. So, is that real? Right? I mean, the first 3 are kind of real, right? First 4 are kind of real. But for the last one, you all are in college now. Does the concept of I'm going to get good grades and then ultimately I'm going to get this good paying job, does that resonate? Feel free to come off of mute as well. Is that real for y'all?
Not at all.
No, not at the moment. I'm working towards it.
Right. That's because it's not the only thing. It's not the only thing. There are, in 2022, 2023 graduation year, there were 2.11 million people who were awarded bachelor's degrees. $2.11 million. That is an astonishing number. And you consider the landscape of what all these people might be majoring in, whether it's business, accounting, psychology, political science. That's not going to be enough, right? Just getting the good grades is not going to be enough. So I'm going to take you all through a journey, through my own personal journey, because what I will tell you is I'm a person who graduated from college. I did not get a 6-figure paying job when I graduated, but I will tell you what I did, and I hope that throughout this presentation, you will connect to a few things that can help you with how to navigate your own journey. So, I mentioned a little bit about myself. I'll dive in a little deeper. So, I'm from Jacksonville, North Carolina, which is a small coastal town in eastern North Carolina. Um, the biggest thing that we had there is a Marine base and Walmart. And so when I graduated high school, I wanted to stay close to home. So Fayetteville State University was about an hour and a half away from Jacksonville. It allowed me to stay really close to my family. It allowed me to stay really close to my sister in particular, who I was really, really close to. And I knew that she was really struggling with the transition of me leaving the house. So I stayed there for a year. And then my sister graduated high school. And when she did, she decided to move to Delaware. And I said, well, I guess I might as well spread my wings and fly. So I decided to transfer from Fayetteville State University to UNC Greensboro. I loved my time at Fayetteville State University. Actually, was looking up a few pictures from homecoming, my very first year, and even went back for homecoming a couple of years later. And just like seeing the pictures and seeing the community that I built there, I'm so thankful for that time there. But also thankful for the time to actually get out of what Fayetteville was, which is another military town, right? I wanted to get out of the military town and move to somewhere different, which is ultimately what landed me in Greensboro. Ended up graduating with a degree in psychology and African American studies. But that's not where I started. I mentioned earlier that I changed my major multiple times. I was a biology major at Fayetteville State because I was convinced I was going to be a doctor. I was still convinced I was going to be a doctor when I moved to UNC Greensboro. And ultimately, I chose UNCG because they were the only university at the time that had a human biology major. And I was like, that sounds like me, sign me up. So I went to UNCG to start that human biology degree. And one of our prereqs was calculus. And I tried. And like, so I don't know if you all ever know about the person who, says, oh man, I failed this class. And then you find out they got like a B minus. That's not what happened to me. There is one F on my transcript. It is calculus. And I tried. But I still moved forward. Once I realized that that wasn't the opportunity for me, I realized that wasn't really what I wanted to do. I started exploring. Now, mind you, I was exploring a little later. We'll go into the playbook in a moment, but I was exploring a little later than some of my peers. So I was having to put it into high gear. Ultimately, I landed my very first job as a management trainee in a management trainee program in the hospitality and tourism industry. Had several different promotions while I was there for about 3 years, ultimately landing myself at one of the largest branches in the region and managing that. And I'll tell you that for myself, that very first job taught me so much, things that I still carry today, but not necessarily the things like, well, I did learn how to read a P&L statement while I was there because I was a psychology and African American studies major. I didn't even know what a P&L was when I started. But aside from that, the things I learned were around time management. The things I learned were around conflict resolution. Those things carried me forward in every stage of my career since. But I found myself as the branch manager of one of our largest stores in the region. I was by far the youngest person there. I was, oh, by the way, the only woman there. I was, oh, by the way, the only Black woman there in leadership. And so, yeah, I had some challenges. Ultimately, I had built a lot of relationships with clients and things like that. That's one of the benefits of working in that type of industry. You see all kinds of people. And so I was talking to one of my clients who shared with me what they did, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds kind of cool." And so I took a pivot. I took a demotion promotion, which is what one of my mentors calls it. I took a demotion promotion and took a pivot out into agency recruiting. I took about a 50% haircut in order to do that. But I was betting on self. I knew that I wanted to do something in human resources. I knew that I wanted to do something that was bigger than myself, something that connected people to opportunity. I knew that those were the things I wanted to do. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to bet on self. And bet on self I did. I did 2 stints in agency recruiting, one in executive search. So I was working with HR and our C-suite to hire C-suite and senior level management at many of the Fortune 500 companies that we know and love. Also did a stint in technology. I loved that because I learned so much from those individuals. They had so much to share. And while I was a technology recruiter, I knew nothing about technology, but I knew enough to know when somebody knew what they were talking about and when they didn't. That was one of the skills I learned. Fast forward to my career at Truist, I ended up actually while I was at the executive search firm, had applied to a role at the time was BB&T. It was for a campus recruiter job, and I got the sweetest declination letter from someone who I've grown to admire and have grown to work with years later. And she very plainly and bluntly said to me, you don't have enough experience. At that point, I only had about a year of experience in recruiting, and they were looking for at least 2. So I kept it pushing, kept it moving. Ultimately, the opportunity came around again, and ended up applying, and ultimately ended up getting that role. So I started my career at Truist, actually at BB&T, as a campus recruiter, just over 7 years ago. Through that time, I've been through a merger that, by the way, was announced when I was 6 months into the role. I then moved to a senior recruiter role, and also relocated myself and my family to Charlotte, North Carolina from Greensboro. Um, and then ultimately came into the role that I'm in now and have been in for the last 3 years as a talent advisory manager, where now I am leading the function that recruits the talent, that recruits you all to opportunities here at Truist. Through this journey, I've bloomed while I was planted. There were so many times where I could have given up, where I could have had a difficult situation, but I chose to keep going. I chose to move forward. I chose not to allow the setbacks define me. And that is one of the biggest things that as we continue forward, that I hope that you all take away today. So let's take a pivot. Um, I didn't do all of these things. This is our college career prep timeline. I didn't do all of these things, at least not at first, right? I was still exploring. I had my sights set on being a doctor, and that was what I was going to do. So I had to go back and forth through this timeline. So if you take nothing else from this slide, take away that while you have some guardrails that you want to kind of anchor to, at the end of the day, what is important is moving through each of these stages, moving from exploration to research, then taking action and continuing that momentum. I was on the phone with my leader this morning, and she had taken a screenshot of something that she had seen on Instagram just a day or two before. And she was like, I'm not sure who this is for, but I'm going to save it and I'll figure it out later. It was for me. It was for you all. It was for this moment. So there is a retired football player by the name of Charles Spencer. He was a 2005 NFL first round draft pick and Super Bowl champion. He now is the founder and CEO of Mental Metrics. This is what he says: education is your entry ticket to the career that you want. Mental performance is what keeps you there. How do we define mental performance, or how does Charles define mental performance? It's through self awareness, habits, resilience, that word keeps coming up, coachability, and leadership. Because here's what we've all known, right? Just going to class, getting good grades is not going to be enough to build the life and career that you want. Your education is the ticket to get you started, but it won't be enough to sustain you. So let's go through our timeline. In your first year, right? You're a freshman, you're brand new to the block, you're trying to figure things out. This is your time to explore. I'll borrow from innovation, which says that at the earliest stages, no ideas are bad ideas. So when I say explore, I mean throw spaghetti at the wall, attend the workshops, join the clubs, attend the information sessions, take career assessments, learn about you. And many times you'll learn through exposure, right? Through education, but also through experience. At this stage, build up as much exposure as you can. This is the time to do that, right? Because you want to explore, you want to learn about all the different opportunities that are out there. Through that, you're then going to help to define your purpose. You want to define what your personal purpose is, because this is what's going to provide you clarity. This is what's going to anchor to you. We have a lot of resources out there. So if anyone is interested in learning a little bit more about personal purpose and how you might do it, I'm happy to share resources with you. But you can also find some really good stuff out there on the web as well. The second stage of this, your second year, focus on research. So focus on the industries and functions that you liked, the ones that when you went to all the different things and you were just kind of like, I'm not sure what, but I'll try it out. Focus now on the ones that you really liked, on the ones that you really enjoyed, whether it's industry or function. And this is also really key. This is the moment to take your skills outside the classroom. It won't be enough to just keep it in the classroom. This will be your time too, because now you've had some exposure, now you've had some experience. This is now your time to take it outside. You could do that through a number of different ways. Some people might lead a club or organization that they joined in their first year. Others might go on to do a bunch of different hackathons and pitch competitions. Even others may take that opportunity to go to professional conferences. Whatever that is, do that outside the classroom. That's going to be your ticket. In your third year, that third year is a crucial year, right? You're going to kick that search into high gear. Now that you've focused, now that you've built relationships, now that you've built connections, you're going to start leveraging those connections. You're going to start leveraging those experiences to really start to get those applications out there, where you now have a fully formed, fully developed resume that will allow people to see you as an intern and as someone that could be an intern at their organization. But again, here you do want to focus on the things that matter to you. That's again the importance of the personal purpose. Now, many of you all will, at your junior year, you might get an internship opportunity, and that internship might lead to a full-time opportunity. That's great. Keep the momentum going. If you haven't and you didn't secure that full-time opportunity, also keep the momentum going. Continue to get that search into high gear when you get into the summer months, especially right before your senior year. Many companies will start to post those full-time opportunities as early as the summer, June, July, and August. Take that time. Use your network, leverage your network of people, right? That might be your professors, that might be your faculty advisors, that could be several people that you've met along your journey the last 3 years. Take that moment, take that opportunity. And hopefully, as you continue forward through that journey, then that leads to that full-time opportunity. Now, here's the gig. I mentioned to you all that I started in hospitality and tourism. I did not have a job when I graduated. That may be some people's story. That doesn't mean you can't keep the momentum going, right? It does mean you may need to rethink your strategy. So that's real. You may want to rethink your strategy, right? What are the things, what are the tools, what are the resources that I need to help get myself to where I want to go? But in all of that, embrace resilience. So, show of hands, how many of you guys know who this is on the screen? Anybody? Anybody know who this is? I see one person who knows. So, my grandfather was in the minor leagues many moons ago. And so I grew up with baseball. Love baseball. And I love baseball for a few reasons. The biggest reason though is that baseball is such a big mirror for life. Such a huge mirror for life. So this is Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is one of our best baseball players currently in the MLB. He's from Nashville, Tennessee, and he currently plays for the LA Dodgers. He is currently in the playoffs right now. So if you haven't, I believe their first game for this next series is going to be on Thursday. So if you haven't had a chance to see him, check it out. But he's currently playing him and his team for the MLB World Series. He's also a 3-time World Series champion, right? That's part of that team dynamic. He's also an 8-time All-Star, just individually, his individual performance. His batting average is a 290. Does anybody know what a batting average means? Feel free to come off mute.
Not too familiar.
I know what it is.
Okay.
It's,
You do know what it is?
Yes, if it's 290, that means out of 1,290 times he hit the ball in play.
Bingo. 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 And so here's the thing. How much of a mirror is that for our job search? How many times have you swung 100 times and you missed it? According to this number, 71 times. Mookie is likely to be a Hall of Fame baseball player. He has been to the plate in his career 6,928 times. You know how many hits he's had? We're not even talking about home runs. This isn't even home runs. 1,767 hits. But imagine if Mookie was like, oh man, plate number 5,000, I didn't hit. Having a bad day. Put my head down. Sulking. How many times have we done that in our job search?
Tell them.
How many times have we done that? And it's real. I get it. I'm not here to say that it's not easy to do. But what I am saying though is that we have to shift our mindset. So here's what I will tell you is the mindset of champions. The mindset of champions isn't that you just win every single time, because that's not real. There are success stories across this room, success stories that you've had in your own personal life. And I bet for every single success story you have, you probably have a failure, something that's a failure to you. But what if you failed forward? What if you failed fast? What if you took the lesson and said, cool, got it, on to the next? Just because there is a door doesn't mean it's your door and doesn't mean it's going to open for you. Sometimes it's not your pitch. That's okay. Swing when it is your pitch. And I am, as a person who has been through this journey, I know that it gets depressing. I do. And I have my own moments where I grapple with it, right? We all do. But it isn't about how many times you win. it's the recovery. Vince Lombardi says something to the effect of, it isn't about how many times you failed. It's about whether or not you're going to get up. Are you going to get up? Are you going to go back to bat? Because if Mookie stopped at 2000, is he Hall of Fame? Who knows? You have to keep going. And shifting that mindset is also just about saying, hey, you know what? That's my no. Got it. Moving on. Got it in the bank. So I know I have my other one coming. I'm just going to count this no as one of the 71 no's that I know I'm probably going to get in order to get to my Hall of Fame career. And guess what? You don't even need 291 home runs. You don't. You need one good shot. And then once you get your shot, once you get in the door, then it's about that mental toughness. It's about that mental performance, the coachability, the resilience, the self-awareness, right? What we talked about earlier. That is what becomes important. So I will close with you all with this, and then we'll take some questions. As you move forward in your journey, regardless of where you are in the stage, you might be first year, second year, third year, fourth year. This is something everybody can take. Define your personal purpose. Because if you don't know where you're going, if you don't have the clarity on where you're going, then the misses feel really big. But when you know and you're very aligned to what it is, when you get the no, cool. Got it. Thanks. Moving on. Make sure your core values are aligned with your career goals. That's the key to meaningful growth. It isn't about finding the highest paying job. It isn't about finding all that's all noise. You do want to have some clarity on what things are important to you. Absolutely. But there's never going to be any amount of money that's going to make you happy. What will is the alignment to what you like, what you enjoy, and what fuels you. You'll figure it out. Second is engage. Again, at any stage, regardless of whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, engage. Build those relationships with your faculty. Join the clubs and the organizations that you're at your campus. Lead. Take the opportunity to lead. I recognize some of you all may be working while you're going through school. I did that too. If you can't get on campus, leave while you're off campus. Try to get the opportunity to be a trainer, right? At your retail job. Whatever it is, take the opportunity forward, take the step forward. And then finally, persevere. I've lived just enough life to know that challenges will happen. And pretending like they won't will not make them not happen. Perseverance will always be critical to your growth and development, no matter where you are in life. Even still to this day for me. Persevere, keep going, bloom where you are planted. And remember this, that positive energy changes lives. Embrace that resilience. Keep going, keep pushing, keep stretching, keep striving. It has been my honor to be with you all this afternoon. I know that I am a little bit over time. Before I open it up for questions, I do just want to share that Truist is at the HBCU Virtual Career Fair today. So if you have not already taken the opportunity to connect with us, I hope that you do. I hope that you genuinely do. And more than that, I hope that you take the opportunity of being in this room. You have so many incredible companies that are here. Take the opportunity that's before you. It's yours for the taking. You're in the room. What you do with it is your choice. Thank you all so much. I'll open it up for any questions, but thank you all so much.
Happy to help with the questions. Sheria, I don't know if you want to take down your slides so we can focus in on you. Thank you. So I'll open up the first question. Um, can you give us a time in your career where you were looking for the right opportunity and maybe you went for that opportunity and you got a no, and how you worked through that? Can you give us an example of that? Oh, I think you went on mute there.
I sure did. So actually, I think I mentioned this a little bit in my opening, just a little bit about myself. Um, I mentioned that I had left my job in hospitality and tourism and spent some time in agency recruiting. It was my first pivot, and I didn't know what recruiting really was. I didn't know what it would look like. And if I can be real with you all, I was like, yo, this is a lot. I don't know if I'm cut out for this. And there was an opportunity my brother-in-law happened to work for at the time, BB&T, and he said, that's what they call me. They call me Ree or Reebok. He said, Ree, take a look at this. It was a campus recruiter job. And I had fell in love. In my mind, that job was mine to have. I was the perfect person for it. I like redid all my resume, did all the things. Sent my resume, and the recruiter just ever so politely and ever so directly said, thank you for reaching out. Unfortunately, you don't have enough years of experience. I appreciate your interest. Please look at other career opportunities at Truist or at BB&T. I was crushed. I went home, cried to my boyfriend back then, my now husband. I was boohooing because in my head, I had dreamed up this entire experience where I was getting that job, right? I was naming it and I was claiming it. It was mine. Didn't even get an interview, didn't get a conversation. But she gave me something. She gave me actionable steps. And I did have my moment. I did have my moment. But after I got out of my moment, I said, cool, I can go get that. And when the next opportunity comes around, whether it's here or somewhere else, I will be ready. And sure enough, about a year later, that opportunity became available. It happened to be the right time. It happened to be the right leader. It happened to be the right system. It happened to be the right structure. And it was smooth. I was so at peace. But part of that was because I decided not to allow the feedback earlier to define me. I just took it for what it was, a gift. And I decided that I was going to action order and do something about it. And so I did. And now I sit before you today, 7 years now, leading the early career recruiting function that I was hired into, leading the function that I quite literally was declined from just a year before I started.
Did everybody catch that? Can you say that for him one more time?
I am leading the function that I was declined for a year before I started.
That's what resilience is all about. Thank you for sharing that, that personal experience. I think that was one of the things that I wanted people to kind of get that message, and wanted them to be able to hear from you. So I noticed we have a couple of folks that have their hand up, queued up. So if we've got time, I'll call on.
Yeah.
Okay. So Chloe, if you'd like to go ahead and ask your question.
Sure. Thank you so much. And also to Miss Richardson, thank you so much for sharing your story and for breaking everything down for us. I've really appreciated this. I've really enjoyed this. And I wanted to ask sort of a follow-up question about, from your vantage point, what some of the more common missteps, especially early career candidates, tend to make when developing a job search strategy and how they can correct them. I'm just for context, I'm a junior at Spelman College. I'm an economics major, and I'm interested in investment banking in particular. So I was wondering if you could kind of speak to that a bit more.
Yeah, that's such a good question. So, I think one of the common missteps that people make is that they don't network with the right people. So, you want to connect with people that are actually going where you're headed. I'll give you a story. I have lots of stories. People on my team know that I have lots of stories. I have plenty of stories to share. So, here's the reality. Recruiters, which is what oftentimes people are told, go reach out to the recruiter. They're going to, help you get the job. That is not what recruiters do. Recruiters facilitate the interview process. So when you're connecting with people, your recruiters are really helpful in navigating the journey with you. But the people that you want to be on your side is the people in the industry, in the profession, in the job that you want. You need a sponsor. You need a decision maker who's in the room who says, oh, I met her, I met him. I know that they're going to be bomb.com. I've worked with them. I've seen their work. That is who you need. So when you're networking, you don't want to go all the way out there and just like network with anybody. You want to be really intentional and strategic about the industry professionals that you want to connect with. And specifically, it's going to be the industry professionals that are in roles that you want to go into, and ideally that you have some connection with. So for you, Chloe, if you're currently at Spelman College, look for people who went to Spelman College who are in investment banking. Start there, because the reality is for every single one of us, we have our own different career paths. I'm not going to be able to tell you specifically for each of them, but those industry professionals, they 100% can. And then those industry professionals can help you to navigate then, okay, what specifically does Chloe need to do between now and then to get where they want to go?
Okay, I think I understand. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for the question. I see another hand up from Kim Burrell. And before we get that question, Sheria, are you also recruiting at the booth today for Truist?
I will not be there, unfortunately. I will not be there, but we have a fantastic team that is there. I was just talking to them earlier. They are all abuzz.
Okay.
But happy to connect via LinkedIn and everything as well.
Okay. Because I got to get ready to hop to the next session, but I can pass over the host of this session to you in case you have a couple more minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So Kimbrell, if you wanted to ask your question.
Right. Hi, my name is Kimbrough Etheridge. I'm a alumni from North Carolina A&T. Um, I'm a computer science major, and my main question was about how do you build like your experience for these positions that you might want to apply for? Because whenever I try to apply for like different positions, they always, tell me that I don't have enough experience or I need to get experience in this certain field or something like along those lines. So I was just wondering, like, how do you build that experience to make sure that you're
Yeah.
prepared for those positions?
So often, and this kind of goes back to the example that I shared earlier around myself. I think sometimes, as especially students, I think sometimes we may shoot the shot a little bit higher than we need to. So, for example, in technology, it's a stair step, right? Many people are going to start in like a help desk analyst, desktop engineer, like that's going to be their first gig,
Right.
right? And sometimes we focus so hard on, oh, I'm going to go be a software engineer. And I'm not saying that you can't be a software engineer, but what I am saying is that there are fewer and far between opportunities as software engineer. And many of the people who are going to get that software engineer job have internships in software engineering. They have hackathon experience in software engineering. They led the club or organization on their campus. They did all of these things while they were in school. That may be you, Cambrell. That may not be you. If it's not you, then you may have to re-strategize around. If I know that I want to be a software engineer, I might need to stair step my way into that, because maybe I didn't do some of the things while I was in college to get to build the network, to all of that. So I might need to still go back, explore, research, right? Start to take action. I might need to go back to those steps first before I can get to the one I want to go to, right? In my own personal example, I just didn't have enough experience. It was what it was. I just didn't have enough experience. And so I took on experiences that I initially wasn't like super thrilled about or super excited about, but I bloomed while I was planted while I was there. I performed while I was there. So I built a name for myself. I built a brand for myself. That is what helped me to move forward.
Okay, that makes sense. All
Does
right,
that
thank
help?
you. Yeah, that helps. That helps a lot. I actually did do like hackathons and like club activities and personal projects outside of school while I was in college. But it just seems like it's not transferring over to the experience that they are looking for when I apply. So I guess I just
It,
need to like look for, like you were saying, like help desk positions, those smaller positions, just kind of like build my experience in the workforce as well, and not just, things that I've done in school and personal projects.
yeah, absolutely. Well, and the other thing too, sometimes is just the storytelling. Some people are just masterful storytellers, because a resume, all it is a narrative. It is a
Yeah,
story. And so sometimes people just, naturally just aren't always as good at developing that narrative. So that sometimes is the other, kind of going back to Chloe's question and yours. Sometimes it's the story that you're telling, your narrative. You might need to evolve that and tweak that.
gotcha. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you answering the question.
Yeah. Thank you, Cambrell.
All right.
Appreciate the question. So I have to hop off, but Sheria, if you have a couple more minutes, I'll make you the host of this session. To our candidates, if you have a couple more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or use the raise hand feature. But Sheria, I'll let you take it from here. But let me be the first to thank you, not only to yourself, Sheria, but also to the Truist team for being a part of this event. We know Truist is hiring. I just went to your website. I saw 887 jobs. I dropped in the chat, I dropped a link to the booth for Truist to talk to the recruiters, and I also dropped a link to the career site. So again, Sheria, thank you so much for sharing your experience, sharing your journey, and your insight for the candidates. HBCU Connect appreciates you. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Thank you, HBCU Connect team.
All right, I'll let you take it from here. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or raise hand and ask Sheria.
I have time for maybe one or two more questions, depending on how succinct we can be. So I'll just ask you to raise your hand if you have a question. Let's see. I don't. Oh, perfect. Hi, Shonda.
Hi, Sheria. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I'm well also. Thank you so much. I put my question in the chat. I'm dealing with some internet connection issues, so hopefully I don't go in and out. But yes, I am a seasoned professional, 21 plus years in corporate America. Rebranded myself 8 different times within one place, 2 locations, and I decided to transition from corporate America actually fall of last year. And I have a passion, actually personal mission, to really what I call B. If you think of a bumblebee, build, equip, and empower people, places, programs, and platforms, and want to do that in the context of career development, career readiness for youth and young adults, preferably in higher education. So I've been on this path more strategically the last year, trying to build my brand around student success and student engagement. And it has been quite a journey. So a lot of what you were saying about your transition and your pivot really resonated with where I am and navigating, creating this brand. And I'm curious, you mentioned like you received some specific actionable steps that you implemented, and then like a year later you were able to really position yourself for those opportunities that you didn't necessarily have the experience in. So I'm just curious, maybe you can share maybe what were a couple of those actionable steps that you implemented.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, when I was transitioning and actually applied to a year before I got the role, the campus recruiter role, very bluntly, I didn't have the experience. They wanted somebody that had at least 2 years of recruiting experience, and I at the time barely had one. I had like 7 months. But what I did do is I shot my shot, right? And then I asked for feedback when I didn't get an answer. And then I took her feedback very seriously. I stayed connected with her, reached out to her a few times on LinkedIn just to say hello. And when the opportunity became available again, the recruiter knew who I was. So when I applied, was a little bit of an easier path for me at that point because I had expressed interest. I would say the feedback that you get is going to be very specific to your role, to the role that you're interested in. So what I would do is after you do your applications, what have you, and you're starting to build those connections, like genuine connections with people, I would ask the people in that business what they did to get where they are and what you can do to transition from where you are to where you want to go. I'll tell you though, for me, part of that transition looked like a demotion promotion. I was also single early in my career. It was a little bit easier at that time for me to take that step back. But that was one of the things I took on. I took a step back in my career. I took a haircut in salary because there was something that I was looking for. And I'm not saying that it was easy. I learned how to do my hair by myself. I learned how to do my nails by myself. Like I learned how to do a lot of things in order to make that work.
Okay.
But it is what I did.
Okay.
And then as you start to develop your brand, and even if it's just the foot in the door, right? Even if maybe it's not the assistant director or associate director of, insert of student success, it might be the tier down from that.
Yeah.
Because you're transitioning, you're pivoting, so you don't have direct specific experience just yet, but you do have transferable skills that could help you develop to where you want to go.
Absolutely, for sure. And that's been like my focus. And I love that you mentioned Tori's storytelling. I was actually about to type that in the chat as you were talking earlier to Canberra. But yeah, it's been this journey of learning how to properly tell my story around my transferable skills and et cetera. So I thank you for just the confirmation. And also I'll reach out to you via LinkedIn, and just happy to stay connected there. And also I forgot to mention, I'm an HBCU alum, go Grambling Tigers, Grambling State University, if anyone else is on here from Grambling.
Awesome. So good to meet you. Thank you so much for the question.
You too. You're welcome.
Tisha, and hopefully I'm not saying that wrong. I think I saw your hand raised and then lowered, but just double checking.
Hi, happy Wednesday, Sheria. I was just saying, clapping my hands like good job, but I'll take the opportunity to say happy Wednesday, great job. Hampton University, go Pirates, our homecoming this weekend. But yeah, thank you.
Right.
Finance background, specifically FP&A and client stewardship. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Well, crew, I think that is about the time that we have this evening. I know that this afternoon, I know that the career fair is opening back up, and we're going to be getting back into that. So take the opportunity that's in front of you. I sincerely hope that you enjoy the time that you're here with HBCU Connect. And I also sincerely hope that you spend some time with us at the Truist booth this afternoon. Thank you all so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.